After my dad decided that his job was more important than our comfort, and that moving from the warm climate of the Bay Area to the freezing suburbs of Chicago would be a great idea, I noticed a new topic in the few conversations I've had with the Midwestern population. This new topic is not about the International Monetary Fund or artificial intelligence, but the best pizza style. Deep dish or thin crust? Yep, that's right. Our debate isn't based on current events, but the argument that pizza gurus in the Midwest and Northeast regions of the United States have been unable to solve for centuries. And opinions on this topic are almost as polarized as the politics of this country. For example, my teacher, Miss Etter, described thin crust pizza as a burned, greasy cracker with 3 pieces of cheese on it. And our colleague, Mr. Rice, summed it all up with the simple statement, deep dish good, thin crust bad. On the other hand, my classmate Dominic said,
the cheese on deep dish pizza is like those little rubber toys. It just never breaks.
And he elaborated further, saying,
deep dish pizza is like that one weird cousin that you really don't want to hang out with, but just can't seem to escape.
To ensure the correct portion of the population hates me, I will be judging the pizza styles based on several categories. The consistency of the pizza, the crust, how filling each pizza is, and the cost. And before we start, all of the pizza was ordered from Giordano's, so if you don't like my verdict, go blame Giordano's. I determined the key factors in each of these categories by surveying the entire Washburn school on their preferences, and I got 37 responses. Unfortunately, a critical mistake was made in the survey, and some dim-witted fool messed up the survey by asking confusing questions, resulting in answers looking a little something like this. Fortunately, that same dim-witted fool managed to get it together and to get a graph that looks something like this. From looking at this improved pie chart, we can see 2 things. 1, 59.4% of people prefer more dough than sauce. And 2, 10.8% of people surveyed don't actually want pizza, but salsa on a cracker. Additionally, I spent way too much time finding the ratio of Giordano's deep dish pizza to be about 1.5 ounces of dough for every ounce of pizza sauce. And just by looking at the thin crust pizza, there's significantly more dough than sauce with a ratio of at least 2 to 1. Of the people who prefer more dough to sauce, 64% preferred a less extreme ratio, and the remaining 36% preferred a significant difference between the 2 ingredients. So based on these preferences, the majority would, in theory, prefer deep dish due to the lower ratio. However, if we take a look at who prefers which, most people prefer thin crust. So what the heck is going on? And there is a simple explanation for this. It is that the tomato sauce on the pizza is not as much of a priority as cheeseburgers are in the American diet. So what else could people prioritize more on their pizza other than sauce? Well, for one, the cheese. From the responses, a whopping 75.7% of people are correct. The remaining percent of people want tomato soup on their pizza. But here we encounter the same problem. If so many people want more cheese, why don't people want deep dish pizza still? And this is because nobody has a sheer stomach capacity to withstand the 5 cups of cheese in every deep dish pizza. To put that into perspective, that is 5 times the amount of cheese on a thin crust pizza. And this is a problem for most of the people I've asked, who say they eat pizza as a quick and light meal or snack. And the final problem is, there's so much volume that somebody is going to have to cut the cheese. Cheesy jokes aside, based on the survey alone, we now know why most people like thin crust pizza. And now I will confirm either their ignorance or wisdom. Finally, how filling is each pizza? Depending on your priorities, the winner of this category may change. For example, if you happen to have an entire school bus filled with football players with truck-sized stomachs, the deep dish pizza is perfect for you. At more than 5,000 calories, it is perfect for feeding entire neighborhoods of hungry children. On the other hand, if you would like to have a light meal or snack, you would most likely prefer the thin crust pizza, with just 3,000 calories in a single pizza. It is also worth noting that despite the ridiculously large portions of deep dish, it is only cut into 10 slices, while thin crust pizzas are cut into roughly 20. Per slice, deep dish pizza has more than 500 calories per slice, while thin crust pizza has just over 150 calories per slice. Because even I don't know anybody with villages to feed, the thin crust pizza is most likely the more reasonable choice for a meal. One of the most important categories is the cost. Sure, pizza is tasty, but is it worth the gaping hole in my wallet? Excluding the cost of delivery or toppings, a large thin crust cheese pizza costs $20.65, and its stuffed counterpart has a cost of $24.95. After some quick math, a slice of thin crust pizza is roughly $1, and a slice of deep dish pizza is almost $2.50. Thin crust and deep dish pizza might be better than each other in certain categories, but the most important part of the pizza is the crust. You can argue that it is something else, but you might as well argue that the moon is made of cheese while you're at it. But first, what makes the crust so important? The crust is the main component of the pizza. Without perfect dough and crust, it doesn't matter how fresh your ingredients are or how good your ratios are, the pizza will never be its best. With thin crust pizza, the crust is light, fluffy, and can still be crunchy, and it leaves room in your mouth for other parts of the pizza. On the other hand, you have deep dish pizza, which is somewhat crunchy and flaky, but is also thick and dry, filling up space in your mouth, preventing you from eating anything else in the next 20 minutes you spend chewing. Additionally, with so much cheese and sauce piled on top of a thin layer of dough, the sauce and cheese soak through the dough at the bottom, making it soggy. And it is because of the higher potential of thin crust pizza that the New York pizza style is superior in the crust category. When deciding the superior pizza type, we must consider both candidates without bias. Thin crust pizza has a lower cost per slice, more practical levels of fillingness, a higher potential for good crust, and a higher popularity among the population. On the other hand, certain people supporting deep dish happen to have more influence, and it is for that reason that deep dish pizza is the clear winner in this competition.